Okay, joined by Niall Ó Ceallacháin, Dublin Senior Hurling Manager, looking ahead to this Saturday afternoon's All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship Preliminary Quarter-Final against Kildare in Newbridge, 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. That game throws in Neil, I guess a few weeks on from the Galway game here at Parnell Park. How's preparation going ahead of this weekend, and what's the injury situation looking like?
Yeah, Jerry, thanks. At this point, looking forward to this weekend. The preparations, we're happy with where we're at. We took a few days off there after the Galway game in order to step away from it for a few days, I suppose, and give lads a bit of headspace there, and we've been hard at it since. So no complaints as regards our preparation. We're definitely ready. From an injury perspective, listen, getting there, like a couple of lads back and then a couple of lads still out. It'll be too early still for Donald Burke and that to take part this weekend. We won't have Danny, obviously, so short one or two, but that, like as I always say, that's always the case, and we'll be ready with who we have for first 15 and the wider panel.
You mentioned there the small break you had. We've had the past, obviously, 3 weeks. We've spoken already during the championship about the fact there was 5 games in 6 weeks and 3 games in the last 3 weeks of the championship. How important has it been, or how beneficial has it been over the past few weeks to be able to take that step back a small bit and maybe refocus for what's ahead?
Yeah, definitely important. Definitely important, Derek. I think we were driving. Now, we hadn't looked too far ahead, as we never do, and we're very much driving at the Leinster Championship, and wanted to be in the Leinster final last weekend, and we weren't, so that's what we have been driving at. So we took a few days to after the Galway game to, I suppose, reset things a little bit, and we now obviously have new aims and new objectives in a different competition now, the All-Ireland. So it was, I'd say it was very important for us to have those 3 weeks in order to take the few days to come to terms with not being in the actual Leinster final, but then also resetting things as regards where we're focused now.
Obviously, you're disappointed after the Galway game here a few weeks ago. I'm sure, though, you've looked at the tape a few times since then and taken plenty from that game heading into this game this weekend against Kildare.
Yeah, no, for sure, Derek. I think it's fair to say overall in the round robin, there's 3 teams took them out of it into the All-Ireland series, and we're in that, so that's a big positive. We wanted to be in the All-Ireland final, in the Leinster final, and we weren't, and it was the Galway game that meant that we weren't. And listen, in lots of elements, I thought it was very different to the previous week again. Down in Nolan Park, we just weren't good enough in lots of ways in that first half against Galway. I mean, I said it after, it was the case that the second half was the second half there, but it was the first half that there's lots of areas that we need to be better on, and that's collective, and that starts with me, and let's see where we are this weekend in that regard.
It is Kildare this Saturday afternoon in Newbridge in the All-Ireland Preliminary Quarter-Final. Again, obviously not a side we're overly familiar with, having not played them over the past number of years, but I'm sure you watched them in the Joe McDonagh Cup Final at the weekend and their win over Laois in that game. What sort of challenge can you expect from Kildare this weekend?
Yeah, no, I think we can expect a huge challenge. We're under no illusions there. Listen, while we haven't played them with Dublin, we very quite accustomed to them really over the last few years. A couple of people involved here, involved there, and would we say who would have been involved there, so very aware that journey would have been watching their journey over the last few years, and obviously a key part of that being Naas, and would be very accustomed to kind of that as well. So while we haven't played them here with Dublin in Lee McCarthy or Leinster Championship or anything like that, we would be accustomed to them, to be honest. Wasn't surprised at all around last weekend. Wasn't surprised at all that they won the Joe McDonagh best team in that by a good way, I would say, this year. Lost the first day against Kerry, probably should have won that game really, and every other game they won at a not at a canter, I wouldn't say that obviously, but they won each of those games well. And I thought last weekend, second half of the last day, they were excellent. They were totally dominant. After Laois got that goal, they were totally dominant, and whatever it was, a 14 or 15 point turnaround at that time. So they'll bring in that momentum into this weekend, and we're under no illusions in that regard.
Yeah, you mentioned momentum there. That's going to be pretty big, obviously, from a Kildare point of view. They're on a high after the John McDonagh final last weekend. I guess from a Dublin point of view, we're used to kind of facing the John McDonagh winners and the momentum that they bring in, having faced Laois back in 2019 and obviously lost that game. How important will it be to be fully focused, I guess, and have the lads fully focused in that respect, because we're going to be facing a team on the up?
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to be on it, and that's it. If we're not, we're going to be in big trouble. I would probably rate this Kildare team as the best as regards the John McDonagh teams who have come up over the last few years. I'd have them, very high on that. I think they would have competed well in the Leinster Championship this year, actually. So they're in a very good place, I would say, and we have to be ready, but we will be ready. There's nobody in that dressing room that doesn't that underestimates the level of challenge that's going to come this weekend. So we need to be ready, we need to be sharp, but we will be that.
Finally, obviously a big support for Kildare at the weekend in the Joe McDonagh final. It's part of the game this weekend as part of a double header with the Kildare footballers as well, so it's going to be a pretty partisan crowd down in Newbridge on Saturday afternoon. How important will it be to get a Dublin support there as well? We've seen it here over the past few weeks. Obviously the game in Parnell Park was sold out for the Galway game the last day. How important will it be to get a good support down there from a Dublin point of view at the weekend?
Yeah, no, it'd be great there to get a good strong core there. We're under no illusions. I think the Kildare hurlers and footballers are playing there straight after each other, so we will be outnumbered. But we'll be absolutely ready for that. But yeah, it'd be great to get a core support down from Dublin in order to help the lads. I know that they really appreciate that.